Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. As the title of the stream says, the new Gunforged demo is now available. It was released yesterday, so if you're interested in playing that, check out the link in the description below, the wishlist Gunforged link that will take you to the Steam page where you can download the demo. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on all of that. There's also a discussion forum in the community hub for Gunforged for new demo feedback. So if you are so inclined, you're welcome to leave feedback there. You can also leave feedback on any of my YouTube videos or live streams. I read all the comments. So, you know, you can leave a comment anywhere on any of the channels that I'm on, and I will see it. So yeah, I'd very much appreciate if you all could give that a try if you're interested. And otherwise, now that the demo is done, the main focus of development is going to be making more content. And in today's stream, I've got a number of affixes and passives, well, just one affix and a number of passives that are going to be really interesting to implement. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And let me think. I think that's basically it for the introduction. I'm not going to advertise my courses at all, which are in the links, or wow, I butchered that. I'm not going to advertise my courses, which are also linked in the description below, because I want you to play the Gunforged demo. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, Eric Grove. Good to see you. Hello, Tupa. I saw your comment on the Steam forum. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Hello, Suhid, welcome back. I just played the demo once, died on wave 3. I'm sorry about that. Is there, are you not a player of those types of games, or is it just too difficult? Let me know. Never got a notification for the demo, downloading now. Yeah, I don't know how notifications with Steam works. I don't know, but I will be I have a lot to do this week. I will be making a YouTube devlog that should release either later this week or early next week, and that will be like the formal announcement. So that's going to be the thing that, you know, hopefully gets a decent amount of views and sends a lot of people to the page. So it's kind of like informally announced right now. So people who are really closely following my work by watching the live streams and following me on Twitter and so on, those people are going to be able to play it as it stands. But for everyone that's just kind of like loosely following my work, the formal announcement is going to be the YouTube video. So you had a wish listed too. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Maybe I didn't make use of the proper notification things. I wrote like a Steam post for it, but yeah, I'm kind of a noob when it comes to knowing the ins and outs of how to connect with my followers on Steam and whatnot. So yeah, I got to make a YouTube video. I'm also going to be updating the Steam store page because a lot of the visuals of the game have changed. And so I just need to make sure that those are updated. I need that to be presented in the best possible way so that anyone new who sees the YouTube video will go and see the new stuff on the Steam page. So lots of work to do this week, but I'll still be doing these streams in the morning, which I will be doing content development for. So anyway, that's enough yapping. We're going to go ahead and get into now some of this development here. So I've got this new affix here, which I believe was suggested by, I forgot who it was suggested by, but it was somebody in the chat, bullet ricochet. So I implemented already the ability for bullets to ricochet. And so now it's just a matter of exposing that through various passives and affixes. So we're going to start with this affix that enables the bullet ricochet, and I think that's going to be really cool. So now that I'm full on in content development mode, the way that I'm going to approach developing content is I'm going to do it every piece of content start to finish, meaning that I'm going to build the functionality of the content, I'm going to do the art for the content, and if it's applicable, I will do the sound effects. And I'm not going to mark anything as done until all facets of the thing are finished. And that's going to prevent, you know, having to go back through and like add a bunch of missing sound effects like I was doing to get ready for the demo. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and do bullets ricochet. So as is usual, now I have to figure out how I actually implement affixes in this game. So I think I need to start with a resource here. Let's create a new resource, affix resource. Let's call this just ricochet. Am I spelling that right? It doesn't have an extra H there. Oh, I spelled it correctly here. Okay, interesting. All right, anyway. So we got ricochet here. Where did that go? Sweet. Display name. It's just going to be called ricochet. The internal cooldown is 0. Feature tags. Are there any relevant feature tags here? Nope. Loot weight. This one has to be a relatively low weight, I think, because it's going to be very powerful. So we'll knock that down there. We have to do a texture for it, or a icon, and yeah, that's it. But let's go ahead and do now the affix. So I'm going to look up my poison affix here. So here's all my affixes in here. So let's create a new file. Ricochet affix. I'm literally just going to copy and paste. Okay, get description. Bullets ricochet 1. One additional time. All right. Not yet accustomed to left and right gun switching when magazine ends. Oh, I see. Also timing my dash. Gotcha. The edges on the base map are a little dark. If that's by design to make it feel claustrophobic, then I get that. I could look into lightening that. What do you think of the gameplay? Also, did I say hi to Kiki Dev? Hello, Kiki Dev. I hope you're still here. I didn't mean to ignore your message. Okay, so get description. So actually, the bullet pierce affix, yeah, so on bullet created. So I actually want to do this. Public override on bullet created. Why is this returning true? Okay, well. Handler arguments dot event dot bullet component dot set Did I not do this ricochet? Let's see. Ricochet's remaining. Okay, I guess I didn't have a method for that, so let's do this. I'm actually going to do this. Public void increment ricochets remaining int amount, and my ricochets remaining is going to plus equals amount. Now I'm going to do increment instead of set because I think that's a little bit safer, because I have another passive that I want to do that's going to add ricochet to the bullet. So let's do increment ricochets remaining, and we're going to take occurrences. What is it called? Oh, that's in the handler arguments. Handler arguments dot affix occurrences. There we go. Okay, so that's actually relatively simple. So on bullet created, we're going to increment those ricochets remaining. This needs to be now occurrences equals 1 question mark string.empty, otherwise s. Does this need to be parentheses? There we go. So we just need to pluralize that time when the occurrences is not equal to 1. Okay, so there's our affix there. Now I think affix... Yes, I think all the affixes are just going to be automatically configured. Affix loot table, where's this? Okay, yeah, it's iterating over here. So that should just be automatically added to the table. All right, well, let's see if that works. So I'm gonna just, for testing purposes, I'm gonna go to the MOS receiver and I'm gonna add that ricochet there. Save that, and let's go ahead and see if that works. Very fun. Took a bit to figure out how to add change barrels, but I do enjoy less hand-holding in games nowadays. A great time one run when I had a flaming dash trail that also left saw blades. Nice, yeah. Banana and cow guns are amazing. Good, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I think the game is going to become a lot more fun with all the extra content. Thank you, Rin. Yeah, I hope all is well with you as well. So something broke. The key ricochet was not present in the dictionary. Oh, right. I need to add it here. I need to find a way to simplify this. The problem is that, so this register affixes happens, it scans the file system and loads all those affix resources. But the problem is that I still have to manually add the classes for the affix, because these are just pure C# classes. These aren't connected to any sort of resource. Oh, I guess they are. Gun part affix. No, it's just ref counted probably, so I can send it in a signal argument, but I still have to add it here, and I don't like that. I don't like that, so I wonder if there's a way I can change this. So if I could just register the affixes and then iterate over them again, and just automatically instantiate all of the corresponding classes. Let's see, gun part affix. Affix resource. I thought there was a place that I was doing this. .cs, let me see. I thought there was a place where I was like loading a C# file and instantiating it. But maybe that was in a different game. I didn't even know where I would look. Because there is a way of... oh, here we go. Generate gun template. GD load C# script. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be very risky, but I'm going to try it. Let's try this. So I'm actually just going to source barrel.new receiver. Yeah, okay. So it looks like, oh man, this is going to be... So I can load the C# script, I can call .new on it and cast it to the appropriate type. And so the reason that this is nice is because now what I can do is I can do this. private const string base affix script path is equal to scripts data affix. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say private static void load affix scripts. For each var ID in IDs. I think this is going to be a snake case ID. So I'm going to say var Pascal case is equal to id.to Pascal case. To Pascal case. And then I want to do, so id to Pascal case, and then with affix at the end. Actually, let's call this script name, id to Pascal case affix.cs. And then I can do gd. So this here, var script is equal to gd.load C# script. This is going to be the base script path. What did I call it? Base affix script path. Slash script name. And then what I can do is I can call this add item. What does add item do? Oh, interesting. Okay. So in here, I can say add item, cast it as a gun part affix, script.new. Oh goodness. Let's see if this works. This is either going to work brilliantly or this is going to break everything. So we're going to get rid of that. Load affix scripts. I could probably do this all in one go by putting it in here, but I don't think it really necessarily matters. All right, well, let's see what happens. You're not doing too bad, that's good. Hello, Present Terry, welcome back to the stream, good to see you. Is there any melee type of attacks or skills, or even like an enemy touches you and they get damaged or knocked back? There's no like melee attacks, but I could certainly do like what you said here with the enemy touches you and they get damaged or knocked back, like a retaliatory. I mean, I already kind of have something like that. The blood torrent passive, I changed it. It used to be that it just, whenever you took damage, it applies maximum bleed stacks to enemies. But now the blood torrent, it still does that, but it also applies 100% of your weapon DPS to all enemies on screen. So that's kind of like a retaliatory, you know, if you get hurt, you know, it retaliates against enemies. So it kind of fits that mold, but no, I don't really have any like strongly melee kind of things. We're about to see if this works. Let's go. Okay. It looks like bleed is still working. That's good. 5% chance that bullets pierce through one additional enemy. Pierce is still working. That looks like it's working beautifully. Now let's see if we can do moss here. Bullets ricochet. Here we go. Is this gonna work? Hey, look at that. We got ricochet. Nice. Turn this down. I don't want to hear the sound effects right now. All right, so we got bullet ricochet. So the cool thing about this too is like if you were to combine this with like, what is it called? Pierce. Then you could send a bullet through an enemy. It will hit the back wall and then come back. Oops. Is it called bullet pierce? Yeah. One of my favorite parts of Gunforged is the start area, much cooler than a start screen. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I really did not want to make like a fancy menu screen, so I was like, well, I really like when games have interactive menus. Like this is essentially what this is, right? And it just feels more organic, and especially for a game that's really like a lightweight, like a 2D game, you don't really need to present the player with the ability to change their options immediately. And so it's just nice. I think it's just nice and cozy. But anyway, so I got Pierce now. So what the way that Ricochet works with Pierce is that the entities that it has already in order for Pierce to work properly, the bullet has to keep track of the entities that it's already collided with, so it doesn't register like a collision one frame and then a collision with that same entity the next frame. But what I've done with the Ricochet is I've made it so that its collision memory gets reset when it bounces off of something, which means that it can collide with something else again. So like if I shoot through this, through the back of this dummy here, it's getting hit twice per bullet because it's going through him once, hitting off the back of the wall and hitting him again. You can see that better here, I suppose. Now that's gonna be a little bit tricky though when I go to do one of the passives that I have written down here, which is that enemies affected by oil cause bullets to ricochet. So that's going to be an interesting one because typically bullets don't ricochet off of enemies. They can't ricochet off of enemies, but having that passive is going to enable that. But that's going to kind of mess up what I've got going on here in terms of like the entity collision memory. So I'm going to have to think about that a little bit, but okay, so the ricochet is looking great. It seems to be working with relative ease here. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up Sprite, and I need to make a texture for that. Might steal. Oh, like the hub arena or the hub menu idea. Hello, Christopher. Welcome. Hello, Vishal. Welcome back. That looks so cool. Thank you, Rin. Is there a way to remove a passive? There is not. You mean like you want to remove it just because you don't want it anymore? Or do you mean like, is there some kind of mechanic in the game where you can like sacrifice a passive for something? The answer to both those questions is no. There's no way to remove passives yet. I may include that. The thing that's kind of technically tricky about that is that I'd have to go through all the passives and make sure that they have proper scripting in place to undo the effects of whatever they're applying. Because some of them are like, they just apply the effect and then their existence in the scene tree is kind of irrelevant. Like I could remove them, delete them, and the passive data will still remain. So I would have to architect, or not architect, but just like make sure each passive has like cleanup code where it undoes whatever effect it was applying. That's something that I've been thinking about doing, but we're gonna have to see. I need to organize this file folder better. What am I looking for? Rune icons. Here we go. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit. If I had the foresight, I would have made it just load the texture based on a file path as well, so that I don't have to manually save and assign all these icons, but that's all right. I'm just trying to figure out a good layout for this. I'm trying not to spend too much time on this icon because there's a lot more interesting content to do, but I think something like this, the problem with these bullet icons is that they kind of lack a directionality to them, so it's not really clear what this is indicating. I think if the bullets were a little bit, oh man, if the bullets were a little bit more pointy, that probably would help. Oops, I don't want to paint on the reference. So yeah, if the bullets were like more pointy, well, not like that, but you know what I mean. But I really don't want to make massive changes here, but let's just see. It's hard at the angle that oops, what did I just do? It's hard at the angle that I'm at too. To get something that's like kind of pointy but looks good. Yeah. Alright, well, we're just gonna have to call it good. And just deal with it. Get rid of the reference there. Okay, I think that's gonna have to be good. I'm gonna need to expand this this texture here. Maybe I should do that sooner rather than later. I guess it doesn't matter, actually. Okay. That's fine. All right. So now let's see if I can remember how I do this. I think I just export the rune icons like that. And then I can go to my ricochet here. And I should be able to... Actually, I'm just going to copy this. It's just an atlas texture, so paste it there, make sure it's unique, open the edit region here, grid snap, what was it, 24 by 24? Nope, 32 by 32? Nope, 20 by 20? Nope, well, what in the world? Maybe it's 28. 26? It's 26. Okay. I don't think I really need to test that. I think that's pretty much good to go. The one thing that I do want to test is the Moss receiver. I just want to make sure that if I put 2 ricochets on the same gun, that it properly ricochets twice. It's out, yeah, the new demo is updated on Steam, so go ahead and download it. The bullet felt like a sword when the green arrow is at the back. Interesting. Yeah, I may have to revisit some of those things, but let's see. How am I going to get this to ricochet twice? Boom, boom. There we go. There we go. Nice ricochet. Boom. So yeah, bullets ricochet 2 additional times. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to call that good. I don't think I need anything else. So this is working, so I can get rid of that. That's going to be much nicer. Now, the nice thing about this is, so there are only 3 things that I need to do now to add a new affix to the game. I have to create a new affix custom resource through the Godot editor. I need to write an affix script like I've done here with the ricochet affix, and I need to draw the icon. And once I've done those 3 things, it just gets automatically added to the game and the loot tables and everything like that. So that should drastically speed up my ability to create new affixes. I mean, not drastically speed it up, but what it does do is it removes a step. I don't have to manually add it to like a table or a registry, but it also prevents me from making a mistake where I just forget to add it to the registry and then it never shows up in game, even though I've built the functionality, right? So let's go ahead and commit this. So ricochet affix. All right, moving on, we're going to continue doing this content here. So I think since we're on the theme of ricochet, I want to do this one. Enemies affected by oil cause bullets to ricochet. That's a passive. So let's go ahead and tackle that one. Yeah, let's go ahead and tackle that one. So now I think I have a relatively similar approach here. Ooh, let me go get it. Yeah, go get it. Very curious to hear your feedback on it. So passive. Create new resource. I'm just going to call this one oil ricochet. Save. Hello, Queeble. I'm actually creating a game similar to this one. I just found your channel recently. Awesome. Well, welcome to the stream. What's your game called? Oil ricochet. Can I fit this? I'm rubber and you're glue. I don't think that's gonna fit, but we'll see. Bullets ricochet off of enemies that are affected by oil. 1 is the max stacks. Cooldown time, no cooldown time. This has oil. So there's an oil, and then loot weight. I'm going to turn this one down as well. Let's try 6. Bullets ricochet off of enemies that are affected by oil. Okay. Ooh, you know what I always do this. I need like a test gun that doesn't appear in game. I have to delete these ricochets. That should not be on the Moss receiver. I really need to create a test gun that's just like not accessible, but I can just throw a bunch of stuff on for testing purposes. Or yeah, I should probably add like a debug command where I can add affixes to guns, but oh well. Okay, oil ricochet. So I think that's configured correctly. So now this is the tricky part. The tricky part is figuring out how to do this. So passive. So I need to create a scene from this. Player passive is an abstract class. So scene, new scene, node, oil ricochet passive. Save this in scenes component passive. Save it there. Add a script. Game.component.passive. This extends player passive. I don't need any of that. So what do I got in here? Increment occurrences, decrement occurrences, set passive resource. That's fine. Okay, so I don't think I really need to do anything in here. I think what I need to do now is just do public override void ready. And now let's look at my game events. Which entity collision game event handler? So this might be a little bit tricky. So this should exist in the bullet component. Yeah, it's calling handle collision before. So now the tricky part is figuring out how to modify that bullet behavior. I think what I essentially need to do is I need a way of knowing which entity is being hit. So that's here, but before any of the collision stuff has been handled. Handle bullet collision this. The other question is, how is this going to work with Pierce? Probably the ricochets should take priority over Pierce. So let's say that you have two ricochet, or one ricochet and one Pierce. If you shoot an enemy that's affected by oil, the ricochet, well, here's the thing. Well, the ricochet should happen first, and then once the ricochets are depleted, then it should pierce through. I think that's how it should work. The problem is I can't just increment the ricochet counter in here because the ricochet only happens on terrain collision. So there must be a way. This is going to be tricky, actually. Let's see how I can do this. So handle ricochet, collision position, collision normal. I'm going to need the collision normal too. Handle collision. I'm setting the collision normal just to the direction, so that's fine. How does the bullet split work? Maybe I should look at that. Bullet split affix. So it's actually creating a new, I think it's creating a new bullet. So on entity collision, it's getting the bullet component that collided. Type of bullet split affix. Interesting. So yeah, it's just instantiating a bunch of bullets. So that's how bullet split works. But with this one, I want to preserve the bullet itself. So it's almost as if what I need to do it's like I need a game event here, probably. So I probably need to insert a game event like right in here somewhere. So insert a game event that's like a pre-entity collision. And then that pre-entity collision can be listened for in here. And then what I can do on the bullet component is I can tell it to like forcibly ricochet based on some conditions. So instead of using the ricochet counter, I basically just force it to ricochet. So here's a handle ricochet here. This bullet component is getting very, very tricksy. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple things. I think I know how I'm gonna approach this, but it's gonna be, I just need to think about this very carefully because this is obviously a critical component of the game. And so I can't just be making changes in here haphazardly. I have to really think about what I'm doing. So let's do handle terrain ricochet here. And this handle collision, that's fine. I can handle that. Okay, so handle terrain ricochet. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to... I have to probably create a public method called public... public void do ricochet. And then in here, we take this. We'll just take both of those arguments as well. Actually, do I need both of those? No, I just need a collision position. Because the collision, well... Maybe I should put that collision normal in there. Let's see. How does your hitbox system work? I saw that the little red circles appear before attacks. Yeah, so the hitbox system... I mean, so the red circles are basically just... I'm essentially drawing circles using Godot's built-in drawing methods, but then applying an outline shader to them. And the way that those are appearing before attacks is I just know, like, after X amount of time, a hitbox with this radius is going to spawn at this position. So it's just a matter of, you know, if it's going to take a second before the hitbox appears, it's just a matter of drawing that circle a second before with the proper radius and the proper position. So it's not actually explicitly connected to any hitbox. It's just I'm generating those telegraph indicators is what I call them. I'm generating those telegraph indicators prior to the hitbox actually appearing in game. And then with regard to the hitbox specifically, that basically is just a container that transfers damage and whatnot and is handled in a variety of ways depending on which entity is being hit or which component's being hit. So I don't know if that helps, but happy to answer any follow-up questions on that. Quebly, I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry. Quebly has a YouTube channel. I watch his tutorials. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'll have to check out your channel, Quebly. Quebble. Looking forward to playing tonight. Thank you, Mornay. I'm really curious to hear what you think of it. What is the current issue? Yeah, the current issue is just the ricochet system that I implemented only works with terrain. And so I need a way of basically saying from this oil ricochet passive, forcing the bullet to ricochet. I think I'm getting close. I just need to be very careful about what I'm doing here. That gives me a good idea for implementing something similar. Okay, excellent. Good, good. So where's my collision normal? For some reason, I'm storing the collision normal here. I don't like the fact that this collision normal is just like a property here. I don't like that at all. So I'm probably going to change that. Why is this here? Handle area collision. Okay, I'm going to change some things here. I'm going to get rid of the collision normal here. This is just confusing me, so I'm going to get rid of it. So this handle collision here, I'm going to pass in vector to, whoops, collision normal. Cool. Handle area collision, I'm not entirely sure why this is here. Negative direction. So for the area collision, we'll pass that in there. Get rid of this. Okay. Do ricochet. Bool. Decrement ricochet counter. Or actually, I probably won't do that. I'll just put, yeah, I'll actually get rid of this. So this code here, this ignored set, that is the entities that have been hit already. So bullets will not hit the same entity twice by default. And then this is a decrement of a ricochet counter. I only want that to happen in the terrain collision. So I'll get rid of that there. And I'll get rid of this code here and just call do ricochet there. And then I can pass in the collision position and the collision normal. So now, since this is a public method, I can just call do ricochet from anywhere on the bullet, and it's just going to immediately flip around as if it had ricocheted off of something, which means that I could make it ricochet in midair without hitting anything if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, all right. So, emit bullet, last entity hit. Okay, so now there's another problem, which is that this collisions remaining here should not apply to the ricochet. Oh, man. So essentially in this handle area collision, what I need to be able to do in here is basically emit an event. That event should be able to change the bullet behavior such that the collisions remaining. Actually, there's an easy way around this. I'll just increment the collisions remaining. Okay, so I'll emit an event here that says like pre-entity collision, handle bullet collision. Oh, I already have that. Entity collision. Oh, okay, so I actually don't need to do that. So this bullet is calling handle bullet collision here, which is emitting the entity collision event. So I actually don't even need a new event. I already have an event I can use. So what I'll do is in the oil ricochet, I'll just increment the collisions remaining so that that happens at this line essentially. And then the collisions remaining will be decremented, which means that it's not going to be deleted. So, all right. Is this going to work? Okay, all right. I have it, I think. All right. So game events dot instance dot connect game events dot signal name dot entity collision game event callable dot from entity collision event on entity collision private void on entity collision event entity collision event. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Entity collision event dot entity dot question mark dot get first node of type status receiver component. Actually, I'm just going to compress this var has oil status dot has status oil status dot scene path. If not has oil status, then we're just going to return out of that. Okay, so now that it has the oil status, what we can do is we can take that entity collision event dot bullet component. We're going to increment the collisions remaining by 1, and then we're going to take that entity collision event dot bullet component dot do ricochet like so. And that needs a collision position and a collision normal. Well, that's unfortunate. Why do I need that? Okay, well, I can probably... handle area collision. Why do I need the global position and the do ricochet? Why do I need that? Oh, it's setting the global position. Why do I need to set the global position there? This really only matters for terrain collision, so... I guess that's kind of a little bit useless now, but that's all right. Yeah, that's really only necessary for terrain collisions, because we're getting a precise collision position. With respect to like area collisions, we don't really have like a collision point, I don't think. Handle area collision. Results.collider. Result.point. Maybe I do want to... Well, maybe I do want to... Well, let's just see how it works first. We'll see how it works first, and then if I don't like how the bullets are ricocheting in terms of where their position is being set, I can change it. It would be nice, though. If result.collider is area 2D collision area, shape cast result. That's interesting. All right, thanks for watching, Tupa. Sorry, you left that message a while ago probably, but thank you, Tupa. I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope to see you in the next couple of streams. So thanks again for trying out the new demo. Very much appreciate that. Okay, well, before I go too deep into how I'm going to rework some of this stuff, because I do think it would be useful to have the result point in the area collision here, and even passing that along here would be cool. Handle bullet collision. All right, let's just not deal with that right now. So the oil ricochet passive entity collision event dot bullet component do ricochet negative entity collision event dot bullet component dot direction. So we're just going to send it in the opposite direction, or that's not what that's doing. It's saying that the opposite of its direction is the normal. Actually, is that going to work? Yeah, so it's just going to bounce straight off of the entity, I guess. Does that make sense? This may not work. We'll see. Okay, so we've got the oil ricochet passive. I guess I need to go back to my Moss receiver here and add ricochet. Or no. Oil is what I need. Okay, let's see. Add passive oil ricochet. Okay, well that seems to be working. It's probably not going to work on the first shot though, if I had to guess. Oh, it does work on the first shot. How in the world does that work on the first shot? Oh, because the affix. Oh. So the gun affix manager, because it's connected first, it handles the entity collision first. GD dot. So if I do this, GD dot print. Gun affix manager, so it applies the statuses first, and then any passives gd.print passive. So I think it's just going in the right order because of the way that they're, because the way when you connect signals in Godot, I think the signal order is preserved. So if you connect a signal in a node first, that will be the first node to handle the signal. Oh wait, now it didn't work. Oh, I forgot to add my passive. Oops. So let's see. Add passive oil ricochet. So let's watch the bottom there. Yeah, gun affix manager. So the affixes, which contain the statuses, are being applied first, when then the passive is handling it second. So that's actually perfect. So that means that... Is it just working now? Let me try. Oh, ooh. Oh yeah, it works with any bullet. Okay, so there's a problem. So I think I do want to include the collision information. So I want to do that. So in this hurtbox component, handle bullet collision, I think I want to pass in the shape cast result. So the shapecast result has basically all of the properly typed data from a shapecast collision, which is what I'm using for the bullets. It's got like the colliders, the collider ID, normal, point. The point is really what I'm interested in, but it's not going to hurt anything for me to pass in that shapecast result here. And then in this handle bullet collision, we pass in that shapecast result. I mean, that kind of makes me nervous though. It's fine, I guess. Because this is only really being called from one place, which is in the bullet. So I'll pass in the shapecast result there. And then the reason why I'm doing that is because now in my hurt box component here, I can add this as another property in here, or another member. And now I have access to even more collision data wherever this event is being consumed. And that's going to be useful because, why is it going to be useful? Now I can pass in the vector2 collision position here. I can require this for the do ricochet, and I can keep this calculation. So basically what this does is this sets the center of the bullet to the collision position, and then it looks at the collision normal and it multiplies that by half of the shape width. So basically what I'm doing is I'm detecting the collision point, then setting the shapecast on top of that collision point, and then offsetting it by half of its shapes, collision shapes width. And so that basically sets it so visually it looks like it like collided on the edge. With the current system, if I have a bullet that's traveling really fast, it may appear to like phase through the enemy a little bit before returning in the opposite direction. And so that's why it's important to reset that global position there. So I think now I can do this effectively from this oil ricochet passive, because now I can do entity collision event dot shapecast result dot point. And I think that's going to work. So now I have all the data that I need to do these things. Oh, now it's not working at all. Oh, never mind. Spoke too soon. Okay, now it's not working at all. So shapecast result. Oh, did I not update this? I didn't update this. There we go. Forgot to put that data in there in the event. I always forget to add my passive. Sweet. You know, it'd be cool. I should do a nail gun that has... nail gun that has ricochet by default. Something like that. Okay, so the ricochet is basically just bouncing straight off of the enemy, which is fine because I don't know. Actually, maybe I could get the actual normal. I wonder what would happen if I did that. So now that I have this shape data, I wonder if I did, I wonder what the normal would be. Dot normal. Is that gonna work? Maybe a different angle for the ricochet. Yeah, I mean, it's based on the angle or the normal, so I wonder if this is gonna work. Hey, look at that, it works. Okay, so I guess aerial collisions can get normals. So now it's like properly ricocheting off of the enemy. Nice. So this is going to be, I mean, this is not something that you're going to be able to control very well, but it is going to be relatively chaotic. And I have to make sure that the terrain-based ricochet still works as well. Come on. Come on. Nice. Wow, that's amazing. So there's a bunch of things to test here. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Look at that. Wow, that's going to be really OP. Anyway, the thing to test now is what happens if so I'm going to add oil. I'm going to add, let me add ricochet to this, and let me also add bullet pierce. Let's see how all those things work together. So again, like the normal ricochet is like off of terrain, but we're going to have this oil passive as well. So if I do this, look at that. So now it ricochets off of enemies and then off of the terrain as well. I can do like a bounce effect like this. That will ricochet. My normal bullets that don't have ricochet on them still bounce off of oiled enemies. And then what about my bullet pierce? How am I going to test that? Oh, these bullets are never going to pierce enemies because they're always applying oil. Okay. So if I get rid of oil there. Oh yeah, if the enemies have oil on them. I guess that's just going to kind of nullify bullet pierce, which is fine. Unless, I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I... A percentage of probability to ricochet? Yeah, that might have to happen. I'll change it if it ends up being too powerful, but I'll keep it as is for now. The question now is how do I make it work nicely with pierce? Should pierce take priority over the ricochet? So maybe it should. So that you could still get the advantage of pierce. Could be the player needs to choose. Yeah, maybe. I think maybe pierce should... Yeah, I think these things are just fundamentally in conflict because if I've got this oil ricochet passive that says, you know, bullets ricochet off of enemies that are affected by oil, I think it's fine the way I have it, honestly. The ricochet should take priority because that's a passive, but if so here's what I can do. I apply oil to this enemy and I can shoot. Oh, no, stop. So I apply oil to this enemy and then I can shoot through that one. Yeah, okay, that's how I can make use of it. So I've got pierce on my moss gun right now. So if I hit this enemy with oil, I can shoot through this enemy and then that consumes the pierce that I've got. And then it passes through that enemy, hits the oiled enemy, and starts ricocheting. So I think that's fine. I think the player's just going to have to carefully choose how they're using that. But yeah, if I've got oil and pierce on the same gun, it's just not going to be effective with the oil, what you call it? Ricochet. Although, now I'm thinking about it, maybe I should do something like... Because I could in here, I could check to make sure that the bullet has no pierce left. No, I'll just leave it as is. I think it's fine for now. It's just going to have to be one of those things that the players have to experiment with, I think. Okay, I think that's basically good. No. Okay, so let's see. Let's get rid of those so I don't accidentally save those. Oil, ricochet. This, I need to come up with a different name. I'm going to call it rubberized instead. I find it fine personally. Good. That is very cool. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. It took a little bit of working to get there, but mostly that was just me being extra cautious. I mean, this is really not that complicated of a script, honestly. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, and it seems to be working great. So I'm just going to see what this looks like now. Rubberized. And if I recall correctly, I don't think I need to player passive, table manager. I don't think I need to add, yeah. Yep, I don't need to do any other work. So player passives are even easier than affixes because I don't have any artwork to do. So I just create the custom resource for the passive and then I write the script and that's it. So that's really easy. Outside of, you know, any additional changes that I need to make to support the passive, obviously. Did I have another print statement somewhere? I thought I did, but I guess not. Okay. Add oil ricochet passive. Can I resize the text depending on the length? I cannot. There's a strict pixel size. My fonts can only be changed in increments of powers of 2, and that is the smallest font size for that font file. Enemy wildfire type passive, like one burning enemy can burn whoever it touches. Yeah, that's cool. Enemy wildfire type passive. Burn whatever it touches. That's a good idea. I have something similar in the backlog here. So let's see. Enemies affected by oil cause bullets to ricochet. So that's done. So I've got like enemies that die from poison damage over time explode. Every 40 stacks of poison applied, it creates a burst that spreads poison. This one's interesting. Set max health to 1, gain 3 stamina, and deal 50% extra bullet damage. I might do that one next. That sounds cool. So it can be difficult for translation later. No, I'm not going to be doing any translations or localizations. It's going to be English only. I just watched a devlog where a guy added a spreading fire effect and it looked really fun. Nice. What's the devlog, if you don't mind sharing? I always like watching other people's devlogs because it's really fun. MZETH. Let me see if I can find that. Oh yeah, I've seen this guy pop up in my recommendations. You know, oh, the video auto-played when I visited his channel. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna work on this passive next. Set max health to 1, gain 3 stamina, and deal 50% extra bullet damage. So that's gonna be a really fun one to work on, and I'll work on that in a little bit. But before I do, I'm gonna take a quick 2-minute break, and While I'm on the break, if you could check out the links in the description below, most notably, the new Gunforged demo is available now, so visit the Steam page. The link for that is in the description below. Get that demo downloaded and leave some feedback for me on the community forums in Steam or on a comment to this video. I basically see any comments you make on any of my videos, so you can leave a comment with your feedback wherever you like. But I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break, get a refill of my drink and all that stuff. And then when I come back, we'll continue working on some of this content here. So I'll be right back in a couple minutes. All right, I'm back. Is doing translations not financially viable, or is it a matter of time? It's both. I mean, you know, the phrase time is money. I always thought that was like a cliche thing, but when you're an indie dev on a very fixed budget, it's both, because every hour you spend working on something is an hour that you're potentially not making money on doing something else. So, and yeah, I can't pay the hundreds or thousands of dollars or whatever to translate it into the bajillion world languages that there are. So my experience though is that like most people speak English, especially like, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that the US market is the biggest financial market in the world, and they all speak English like me. So it's a matter of optimization, right? It's like spending the minimal time for the maximal revenue. Now, if Gunforged does better than my wildest dreams, then yeah, spending the time to localize it and get that extra 5% of sales could actually be a huge amount of money, right? It's all a matter of like scale. You know, if localizing it gets you an extra 5 or 10% sales, that doesn't make a whole lot of difference if you only sell 1,000 copies. But if you sell 100,000 copies, well then that's 10,000 additional copies that you could get by localizing. And I'm just pulling these numbers out of thin air, but that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it, right? It's like it all depends on the scale. And with the numbers that I'm expecting Gunforged to sell, it's just not like a financially viable decision to spend the time and money localizing it. Yeah, that's another thing. I have no way of verifying that it's done correctly. So if I want it to be done correctly, I'd have to hire somebody with a good reputation to do it. So yeah, it's just a really language learning models would be doing translations for solo devs. Yeah, that could be useful. Yeah. I could see that being really useful actually, because there are translation algorithms, but that translation is not the same as localization, right? But I could definitely see a place for LLMs to do the localization part, like just having innate knowledge of what the cultural idioms are and whatnot. But anyway, excuse me. Let's go ahead and create another passive, shall we? Create new resource, player passive resource. I'm going to call this one Glass Cannon. This is going to be the Glass Cannon one. Glass Cannon. Oh, wait, am I spelling? Yeah, I'm spelling cannon, right? Set max health to 1. Increase stamina by 3. And how did I word this over here? And deal 50%. 50% additional bullet damage. Okay. Max stacks 1, no cooldown time. Feature tags. Do we want to have a feature tag? Evasion. Let's put evasion and health on it. Loot weight. Let's do 7. I'm just pulling these numbers out of my behind. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Once I have all the content in the game, I'm gonna like take a fine-tooth comb through it and like try to balance everything more appropriately. But I want to get all of the content in the game first, so I have like the complete game in front of me, and then I can just play it over and over and over again and figure these things out. Okay, so Glass Cannon passive. So let's create a new scene. Node Glass Cannon passive. Save that in scenes component. Passive, save, add script. Change the path here to scripts. Game.component.passive. And this has to extend player passive. And we can get rid of these, actually. I don't need this here, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I don't need this. Okay. So what do we need to do in here? Public override void ready. So the ready method, I need to connect to some things in here. So this is actually going to be relatively easy. Yeah, hold on. Are your affixes handling bullet destruction? I'm making something which has projectile alterations, and often they need to do something like split or splinter or chain. Yeah, so I do have a bullet split / splinter. It's kind of like the same thing. And what happens with that is that it I'm trying to remember how it does it. Yeah, in here. So in bullet split affix, so it handles the entity collision, and then it just creates more of that same bullet. And it just transfers all the stats to that bullet, if that makes sense. So it's basically just duplicating the bullet a bunch of times. But I'm happy to answer any more specific questions you might have. I was thinking about that. I already worked during the day, so I'm finishing the demo for my first game, and I can't do translation to my native language. I can imagine you... Yeah, I mean, yeah, the translations are hard. I finished the Udemy course yesterday and going to do it last chapter solo and use the lesson titles as like to-do items. Oh, very nice. Very nice, Northernborn. As a game audio guy, the themes of Godot start showing with audio, and it's a little bit of a turn off, but I love everything else, especially game UI stuff. Yeah, I don't have much experience with audio. My audio in this game is very, very bare bones, but yeah, I mean, I think that I can imagine doing things like rhythm games or having just like dynamic orchestral music coming in at the right times and being layered properly. I can imagine that that's probably a nightmare. I think there's an Fmod extension for Godot, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Fmod is like a popular tool, so maybe that fixes the issues, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, let's do this. Var player is equal to this dot get player dot health component dot set max health to 1. Oops, why did I do that? Player dot health component dot set max health. Player dot dash manager dot increment dashes. Oh, I want to do this 3 times. Okay, let's just do this. For int I equals 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. Yes, I know these are magic numbers. I do not care. So what did I say? And then bullet damage. So the bullet damage thing, that has to be game events dot instance dot connect game events dot signal name dot entity collision game event. So this is basically the same thing that we were doing last time. Entity collision event. This happens before any of the calculations happen. So what I can do in here, so for like the critical chance, what happens if I just take the gun stats and I add the bullet damage percent modifier. So if I want 50%, what I do is private void on entity collision event. It's very simple. I just do entity collision event dot gun stats dot bullet damage percent modifier plus equals 0.5, and that's it. That's the entirety of the passive. So it's going to give me 3 dashes. It's going to set my max health to 1, and it's going to give me a permanent 50% damage buff. And I believe that's basically all I need to do. So let's go ahead and check it out. I do professional audio for some game studios. There are a lot of things that add up in Unity. For example, workflows and flexibility, even just how you interact with audio assets. I can understand now why people just use Fmod instead of making fancy solutions in native Godot. Gotcha. Hello, Beta. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't know. I audio is one of the places where I need to like really do a deep dive into figuring out what the professional way of doing it is. But, you know, for now I can get away with these little cheap implementations of the sounds. Okay, so let's try this. So I'm gonna get some guns here that don't have status effects. 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage. Okay. Add passive glass cannon. Bam. What? Why do I have 2 health? Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so there's a bug there, but let's just see. Still only doing 3 damage. That's not right. Do I have errors? Let's do this. This is going to be easier. We're gonna have to figure out why that is happening. And also the bullet damage is not being increased. Okay, all right. So it looks like it wasn't going to be as big of a cakewalk as I thought. Looks like it's not going to be as big of a cakewalk as I thought it would be. Deal damage with transforms. Oh, there's an issue here. Wait a minute. Has this been an issue for a long time? Uh-oh. This might be bad. Has this been wrong the whole time? Oh, on entity collision. Oh, why am I using the on entity collision? I shouldn't be doing that. I should be using on bullet created. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. On bullet created is the time when I can modify my bullet stats. Well then what the heck? Am I doing that? Hold on. Oh yeah, this is happening on bullet created. Okay, all right. Almost scared myself there for a sec. Player bullet creation game event. Bullet creation event. On bullet created. Let me just make sure that that's correct. Yeah, okay. So on bullet created, bullet. I don't know why my naming is all wrong here, but okay, so now I can add the bullet. Okay. Let's try this again, and then I have to resolve that issue. Well, I don't know why that max health is not being set to 1 properly, but we'll see. Your audio helper is mostly on the right track, wrapping audio streams and custom resources that are passed to a global sound manager. Instance is usually the basis for a strong system. I see, okay. Mind blown when I saw the command tool you're using there. Care to tell us more about it? Yeah, it's very specific, but so to lay the groundwork a little bit, so in the game I have a concept of a registry, and a registry is essentially, it just loads all of the files in a certain directory within the game as a certain resource type. So I've got an affix registry which loads all of the affix resources. I've got a gun part registry which loads all the gun parts dynamically on startup. And then the same is true for the entities. And then since I have all those registries, it's relatively simple to go and like write a very basic command thing. So if I do like if I look at my debug console here, like this is very simple. It just takes the input that I type in, it calls this parse input on it, and it just takes like the first word. So if the first word is spawn, it goes into the spawn. If the first word is add, it goes into add. If the first word is gun, it goes into gun. What does that even do? Anyway, and so like if I do spawn, it goes into here, and then it says, okay, the second argument is going to be the name, and the name is basically just a variant of the scene name. So like I have rat.tscn, which is an entity. So if I do spawn rat, it's going to use that ID, map it back or look it up so that it finds the scene path, and then it just instantiates that scene. And then the third argument is like an optional count argument. So if I do spawn rat 20, it says, okay, instantiate the rat scene 20 times. That's basically it. It's very simple, but it kind of requires that you have the sort of the infrastructure available to do that. So that's about it. Played the demo for a bit. It was quite fun. The only bad thing I can say is that just circling around the edges of the map is too OP. The AI is just usually not that smart to respond. Yeah, so the other arenas in the game are not going to be squares. They're going to have difference in the pathfinding. That said, I could probably find some way to fix that. I mean, did you have a lot of movement speed, though? It sounds like you had a lot of range, too. You beat the first boss without seeing what it looks like. You might have just gotten a lot of range on your guns and a lot of movement speed. But I can certainly look into ways of fixing that. Bubble gun, no movement speed upgrades. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I can look at that. I don't want to make the first level too hard either, so. But yeah, that's something that I should avoid. I don't know, do you have any ideas of how I can prevent the player from being able to just circle around? Would love a tutorial at some point. Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah, there's not enough time in the day, unfortunately. Okay, I'm testing this, right. So let's see, 3 damage, okay. Now I add the glass cannon. Bam, 4, okay. So it's probably rounding. Yeah, so it says 4.5 DPS there, which is correct. I round the numbers down, I think, that the white numbers here, just because having decimals makes it a little bit messy. So that number's not actually precise, but the DPS number is correct. It says 4.5, which is 50% of 3, so that's working. This one should be, wait a minute, it should be 27. Yeah, there we go. How is that? Nice. Bam, bam, bam. Sweet. Okay, now we gotta figure out why my health is not being set to 1 heart. I hope that's something just like really, really dumb, like I hard-coded it to be a minimum of 2 or something. But that's not right. So player resource UI. Let's see. Health changed. On health changed. Current health, set health. Here we go, max health. Max health diff. Oh, it's only removing the last child. Max health diff. Does this need to be less than or equal to? I guess I can step through that and just see. Where is my heart sacrifice? What is this doing? Oh, it's here. Max health -1, yeah. All right, let's just step through it and see what's happening here. So player resource UI. So we'll just put a breakpoint there. Launch the game. There's a mob which spawns some big spiral cluster of bullets. I don't know how to describe it a few times. Surprised me because it went ahead of where I was going and dodging was almost impossible. Oh yeah, you're talking about the spider centaur. I could do more, yeah, more leading. So I tried to prevent the player being able to revolve around the arena by having those big area attacks, so from the bombers and then also from the gargoyles that shoot the poison blobs. But I guess that's not enough to alter the player's movement patterns effectively. So I wonder if I could just tweak those a little bit. I'll have to think about that. Okay, so we're adding this. So max health is 1, health is 1. That's not right. Set health. Max health diff is -2. Free that. Excel, so it's going again, right? Should be removing both of those. Does it just add another one then? Let's see. I is less than health. No, that's just setting the chip to full. So let's go ahead and step through that. Max health -1. That's not going to go through at all. Okay. So what in tarnation? Why is there still 2 of them? So I've got 3 hearts. Add glass cannon. It says my health diff is -2, which is right because I'm removing 2 hearts. Okay. And the thing that's puzzling me is that it goes here. Oh, I know what's happening. Yep, it's just an artifact of how Q-free works. Okay, so Q-free doesn't remove it from the tree immediately. And so when I do health container dot get last child, it's getting the same child twice. So that's what's happening. So what I need to do is I need to actually do this. Health container dot remove child last child, and then I can Q-free it. Fine, I'll be safe here. If last child is not equal to null, then we'll put it in there. Okay, fine. Okay, so that should fix that. Minor bug. Boom, glass cannon, and now I've got 3 more stamina. How cool is that? How cool is that? And I do 50% extra bullet damage. Set max health to 1, increase stamina by 3, and deal 50% additional bullet damage. That is OP. That's so cool, though. All right. So that ended up being relatively easy to do once I addressed those issues. So I'm pretty happy with that. Do I need to... Nice, okay. Add glass cannon passive. So we'll commit that. We're working through some of this content here. All right, what's the next one? This one is really interesting, but I think it's going to be quite difficult. So stamina is used as health. You will die if you take damage with 0 stamina charges. Max health remains unchanged and health is set to 0. So basically, the reason why this is worded that way is because I have passives in the game, like Berserk, that deal increased damage based on your missing health. And so what I want to do is I want you to still be able to leverage the Berserk passive and have that based on how much health you have, but I'll just like force the player to stay at 0 health. I don't know. What do you think? Should we try this one? It's getting a little bit late into the stream. This might be a tricky one to do. Before Q3 used a remove function. Is that an inbuilt function? It is, yeah. So remove child here. So remove child takes a reference to a child, and it will just remove that from the scene tree immediately, and then you can Q-free it. Honestly, I probably could just do free like this. Because that just frees it immediately, but I get nervous about using free, so I just remove the child first and then free it. Q free immediate. Yeah, I think it's just free, right? What is Q free deferred? Oh my gosh. Q free is already deferred. I don't know why that's there. So yeah, I could just do free there, but... Anyway. But yeah, that would probably work. If last child is not equal to null, continue. Well, I don't want to continue in that block. Yeah, that's an option, but it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you wanted to avoid nesting that bad, you could use the continue. But in that case, I don't really have a preference there. Okay, so I really want to try the stamina one. I think that's just going to be really difficult because I have to change basically how this works. Stamina is used as health. You will die if you take damage. Yeah. Let's try this one. Dashing travels 200% farther. I gotta do the poison ones too, but that might be a little bit tricky as well. Because this one specifically says that enemies have to die from the poison damage over time. And I don't know if I have a system in place for determining that. How is the player working here? Player dash. Use a string name here. Should probably use string names for those as well. We'll use string names for this. Okay. Anyway, so is action press state change state dash enter state dash. Where's the timer? I gotta. Oh my gosh, I gotta do anim roll as well. It used to be called roll. Now it's dash. Player dash started, dash manager use dash, roll timer start. Yeah, so the roll timer. Where is this being used? So the roll timer needs to be modified. Now I'm wondering if I should move the roll timer into the dash manager, because right now it exists at the level of the player, so I probably don't want that. Because the dash manager is where I interface with all the dash functionality, and it's kind of weird to have the roll timer here, I suppose. Although this is more like a state timer. So for context, essentially what I want to do is I want to move this up to like 0.6, and that just means that the player is going to travel farther, I think. Yeah, like that. So you end up with more of like a slide, and you can still shoot while you're in that state. So the idea is that you end up getting like a movement speed boost, and you can still steer and whatnot too while you're in the roll state. You can't steer as well, but so that's kind of like what I'm thinking is you give the player like a slide essentially. And also, I think you stay invulnerable that entire time. Where do I set the invulnerability? Oh, I disable the hurt box shape. I wonder if I should change that. Maybe I shouldn't disable the hurt box shape. Maybe I should turn the invulnerability on. Because if I simply disable... No, I think I want it to disable because I don't want the player to destroy the projectiles that they're dashing through. Yeah. Am I using a state machine? Yeah, I use state machines quite frequently throughout this game. It's a custom state machine implementation. It's called a delegate state machine, and what essentially a delegate state machine is it's basically, it uses function references as the states themselves. So in here, when I'm calling state machine add states, these states are functions. And the reason why that's useful is because you can still delineate your states well. So you have like a state normal, state dash, whatever, but instead of having like an enum and everything, it's literally just a reference to the state function itself. And so if I'm in the normal state and I call state machine.update in the process, it's just going to invoke the normal state normal function over and over again. And then when I call change state, it's smart enough to know if enter and leave states have been configured, and it will automatically call these at the appropriate time when it undergoes a state change. And so like enter state dash, this function gets called when the dash state is first entered. And then leave state dash gets called when the dash state ends, but before the next state is entered, right? So it's just nice, like the states are the functions, and it just seems to me, it makes developing state machines very straightforward because I can just read through the code. I know what all my states are doing. Adding new states is very easy. Changing states is very easy. All that good stuff. I have a GDScript version of that delegate state machine as well. I don't know where the link for that is. I'd have to find it, but I can definitely look for it if you're interested. So anyway, I need a way of changing the roll timer based on this new passive that I'm adding. So how am I going to change that roll timer? That's the question. Because it's like a state function. Here's what I'll do. I'll just do the easy thing to do for now, which is to private int or private float roll timer base time. So we'll store that. Why is this a double? Are you serious? So roll timer base time, and then I need to create a public method. Private float roll timer multiplier equals 1. Add roll timer multiplier. Roll timer multiplier. Float multiplier. Plus equals multiplier. Roll timer dot wait time is equal to roll timer base time times roll timer multiplier. I think that's going to be the simplest thing to do. Let me just make sure that this wait time is not being set anywhere else in here. Percent finished. Okay. I think that's good. So now I can create that new passive here. It's not really using inheritance then, it really simplifies things. Yeah, I don't like using inheritance for entities. I really don't, because it's so difficult in my experience to make entities that behave differently from each other. When you're all inheriting from the same entity class, you end up needing to fragment your inheritance tree into like so many different files. And maybe there's a really genius way of doing entity inheritance, but each of my state machines is different. Like every entity has absolutely different logic. I mean, there's some shared stuff like pathfinding and whatnot, but for that shared stuff, I just break that out into like a pathfinding component so that everything is using the same pathfinding functionality, but they're not using the same way of using the pathfinding functionality, if that makes sense at all. But yeah, my entity scripts end up just being like the state machines, and then every other piece of functionality comes from the component system. Hello, Boogie W. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so the roll timer. Right. New scene. Should I call... Oh my gosh. Should I call this... Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Did I add a passive for this yet? I didn't. Okay. You guys are going to love this. Hold on. Create new resource, player passive resource, slide. Slide into the DMs. That's what it's going to be called. Yeah, I mean, it all gets uppercased in the end, so it doesn't matter. You're going really all out with composition. Yes, indeed, yeah. I would love to, probably after Gunforged is finished, I'm probably going to do a series of videos where I just like go through the technical aspects of Gunforged. So I basically want to, I want to take like a system, like the rune system, and just like do a deep dive on how that works, and then do like a deep dive on the composition system, and then do a deep dive on the passive system. I think that would be cool. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Now here's a question. Maybe I'd call it dashing lasts 3 times longer. Does that sound right? Dashing lasts... Max stacks 1. Should I do 2? No, I should probably just do 1. Loot weight, let's do 9. Okay, now I need to actually add a script to this. These passives, like these kinds of passives, are like relatively easy to do because I just do this get player dot add dash, what is it called? Add roll time multiplier. What does it be? 2? It would be 2, right? Base time, no, 3. No, 2. Is that right? Yeah, because it'll be 0.6. Whatever. Let's see. Add passive slide. Let's do it. Didn't work. Right. Forgot to make it extend player passive. Oops. That's super fun. That's super fun. I want to see what that looks like in game. Wow, it's a really like get out of jail free card. Because you're invulnerable that entire time too, so you can just like slide right through things. That might be OP, but we'll see. Especially if you've got lots of stamina. What happens? What is the freaking... Can I not add stamina? Max stamina is what it's called. That's so cool. Oh my goodness. Super cool. That's so ridiculous. I like it though. I like it. And that should work nicely with the dash speed modifiers as well. Cool. So that's awesome. Any of these things are subject to change as I play with them, but I think just padding out the game with a lot of content is going to be good for this for now. I didn't even check if that title fits on the banner. I think it does. It does. Okay. Let's commit that. Add slide passive. So got a lot done today. So let's see. Got that passive. So 1 passive, 2 passive, 3 passives, and an affix. 3 passives and an affix, all in just a couple hours of work. So if this trend continues, I could have many different passives and many different affixes. I think the limiting factor right now is just coming up with creative enough ideas. That was the big problem that I had, really, is like, I don't want to just keep rehashing the same ideas over and over again. I want to actually introduce things that change the gameplay in interesting ways. And that's kind of hard to do. But nothing a little brainstorming can't solve, I suppose. I'm really intrigued on getting this one working. I feel like this is going to be really difficult though, but we'll have to see. Anyway, that's going to be it for the stream today. Thank you all for watching and being here. Again, please go try out the new Gunforged demo. It's available on Steam. So use the link in the description below to go to the Gunforged Steam page. And if you could, wishlist it also while you're there. That would be great. Lots of work to do still on Gunforged, but it's on track for an end of January release. So got a lot of work to do, but it'll get there. So yeah, thanks again for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I'm really curious to hear what you think about the Gunforged demo. So I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, everyone.